Welcome back, everyone, to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Murph. And as you know, if you follow this channel, I'm a huge fan of Cardano and specifically the Cardano ecosystem. Now, I've been looking at some of the projects that will come onto the Cardano ecosystem that I feel have the best chance to possibly be a top 100 project. And I know many of you have asked me to look at Meld, and I have, and I liked it a lot. And today we have a special guest joining us from that team. Let me welcome him right on. We can go ahead and get started right away. Ken is the chairman and co-founder of Meld, and we thank you for joining us.
Hey, Jay. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So, as I looked through Meld and got a feel for what you were talking about, I could tell through your white paper, some very smart people working on your project, as well as I saw an interview with you on social media that I thought, okay, this team is very sharp. I'd love to have them come onto my channel because they're offering some very unique things through the Cardano ecosystem, and I'm very bullish on that ecosystem. And so if it's okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Sounds good.
Great. Now, could you tell the users a little bit about Meld and what it is you're offering?
Sure. So, in a nutshell, Meld is very easy to understand. We're building the banking stack on Cardano. And what that basically means is we're working with wrapped assets, so stable coins, MUSD, Euros, and we're also doing lending and borrowing. The unique characteristic here is that we're not just doing lending and borrowing from crypto to crypto, we're doing lending and borrowing from crypto to fiat. So we make it possible for people to use their existing crypto assets and lock it up into a smart contract and then borrow fiat against that. And the reason why this is valuable is because when you're investing, what you don't want to do is you don't want to get out of your position. You don't want to end your long position. You want to stay in. You want to see the long game, and you want to see all of those gains that you're expecting to happen over the next couple of years. But we have to live our lives. We have to, pay our rent or buy a house or buy a car or whatever. And a lot of people that have been investing, they've seen their portfolio grow and grow and grow and grow. And Meld is there to be able to unlock some of that value while still allowing people to maintain their long positions. They can borrow that in fiat and use it. And then when they pay back the loan, they still have their ADA or their BTC or their ETH. And so they're seeing those benefits while still seeing some of the benefits of the value that's been created.
Yeah, thank you for the overview. I wanted to share with you one of the things I liked about, or share with the audience, what I really liked about Meld, because some of what Meld is doing isn't new. Some of this is done on the Ethereum chain, but as we know, transactions there are very expensive. And so, especially as crypto gets more bullish again, and I think it will, the Ethereum transaction can cost you $100, $200 as it gets crazy. So I've been really bullish on the Cardano ecosystem and Charles Hoskinson's vision for it. So I like that Meld is on the Cardano blockchain, a blockchain I'm more bullish on because I don't know if Ethereum can really, in the next 2 years, fix the problems that cause the high gas fees. And Cardano, I feel like, is going to solve that. But in addition to having what they have on Ethereum, but just a chain that I think the transaction costs are going to be cheaper, you have some very unique solutions that I haven't seen anywhere else before with Meld. Could you walk the viewers through your Genius loan?
Sure. So the Genius loan came about with us thinking about what type of loans we wanted to create as part of this lending and borrowing protocol. So we knew we wanted to create as fair and sort of flat a set of products as we could. And when we started doing the math and started trying these things out, we saw that if you set it up correctly, we could actually create a loan where you locked up your crypto collateral and then you borrowed fiat against that. But then we took that collateral and we made it work really hard. And then instead of taking all of the profit like a bank would normally do, we take some of that profit and we feed it back into the loan to pay down on the principal. So you pay the interest on the loan, but the collateral itself pays on the principal, and then the loan pays itself off. And as you know, when you're paying interest is tax deductible in most countries. And so we're making a loan that is a very, very capital efficient solution for people to be able to unlock the value in their crypto.
And what's the timeline that you think is going to be allowed on your Genius loans?
Right now, the plan is not to have a timeline. So people can choose. As of right now, we're saying you can choose to have a fixed timeline, but you can also have it open-ended. We don't have any particular reason. There's no good reason for us to make it fixed. Also, the way that the collateral performs is going to obviously be different, whether it's in a bull or a bear market. And so the idea is that the collateral works as hard as it possibly can based on the market conditions to pay down the loan as fast as possible. But it's very hard to predict that. So we haven't put any sort of set fixed timelines on it.
So it literally could be a loan that pays itself back.
That's the goal. The goal is to create, and that's what our models are showing us, that it will pay itself back. It depends on the state of the market, but we're looking at somewhere between 4 and 6 years, depending on market conditions.
That is the most incredible financial innovation I've heard in a long time. Now, do you have any idea what the interest rates will be and what determines those interest rates?
So the interest rates will be determined by our risk oracle. So we have 2 oracles that are operated on the protocol. One oracle is the bank oracle. That creates the bridge between the physical world, between the bank accounts and sort of the fiat, and taking all of the fiat transactions and putting them onto the blockchain so that we have full transparency. And then we have a risk oracle. And the risk oracle does many different things. It looks into the market and sees market behavior, market volatility. It looks at the lending and borrowing protocol, how it's being used, what's going on. It looks at the staking pool, looks at our insurance, it looks at the liquidity pools to see the performance there. So it aggregates all this information. And one of the things it does is it effectively sort of sets limits as to how the protocol can behave in order for it to work within sort of the risk parameters, but it also sets the interest rates. So at this point, because we're still doing a lot of modeling and we're still doing a lot of simulation, I can't give you a specific interest rate or a specific set of interest rates. But as soon as we get a bit farther down the road, we will be publishing the mechanics and we'll be publishing all of the information about the interest rates and how they work. That's
amazing. Really looking forward to getting more information on that. So one of the other things I look at, because I'm a fundamentals guy and a swing trader, that I tend to hold for periods. Like I don't buy and flip 2 days later. I don't day trade. I look for good projects that I think over a period will do well. One of the things I look at is the team, because teams and ideas, because your ideas are amazing. And so then my next question would go to, can you tell us about the team?
Yeah. So myself, I have a background in technology. I've been working as an enterprise architect for the past 11 years. So I have a technical background. Most of my technical background comes out of industry, asset-intensive heavy industry, IoT, data pipelines, things like that. But I also have some background in finance. And then from a technical side, regards to the blockchain, I have Hai, who's my co-founder. He's been working on the Cardano blockchain for the past 3 years. He's been working in crypto for the past 5 years. And then we have 8 other engineers that are working on the team as part of the team full time. 6 of those have been working with Haskell and working on the Cardano blockchain for the past 3 years. So they've been contributing, they've been part of Plutus Pioneer and all this kind of stuff. So the reason why I was bullish to actually pull this off and do this was very specifically because of Hai. He's worked on several other Cardano projects. He's worked on Liquid, he's worked on Indigo. So he has the background, he has the pedigree, he has the right sort of mindset to do these kinds of new, big, innovative things. And so we fit very, very well together in how we work together. And because they've been working in the space for so long, I feel very confident on his ability to deliver, setting up timelines, structuring the projects, thinking about it innovatively, these kinds of things.
Sounds strong. Sounds like your team is geared just right for what you're doing, especially with the Cardano background, because we don't fully know what the smart contracts will look like, but your team probably does because they've been working with them already, right?
Yeah, I understand that right? We had our first prototype for the lending and borrowing back in early March.
Wow.
So they've
Okay.
been working on this and continuously building it and doing sort of code reviews and analysis and making it better and better and better over time.
So your
And so,
team is probably self-funded to this point, or got some backers that have helped you get to this point. And instead of doing a raise and a token, some kind of token offering very early and saying, we have this great idea, you've actually been working for months and months and months already, right?
yeah. So Hi and I self-funded it
Okay.
until we got our first investor, which was Silicon Valley Blockchain Society. So that was in April of this year. And when Silicon Valley Blockchain Society came in, that sort of set everything on fire, and we started to sort of really take off. And so one of the things that I was very concerned about was this idea of a fair launch. What we knew we didn't want to do, we didn't want to just do a private sale. So we didn't want to do an ICO that, in the first 30 seconds, bots buy up all of the liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew that didn't fit what we were trying to achieve. And sort of late one night, a couple months ago, I was listening to Cardano Live, and they were talking about the community reaction to Occam and their release, and how bots had bought up lots and lots of almost all the liquidity, and the community was very, very unhappy about that. And so because of that dialogue, and I don't think Occam did anything wrong at all.
Right, right. That's a problem on every single launchpad.
Right. And so as a result of that, I started thinking about how we could approach it. And then I thought that I'd come up with a brilliant idea of this initial stake pool offering. And so I immediately called Hi at like 2:00 in the morning, and I was like, what if we do this? We create a bunch of stake pools, and then we make it so that people can actually they can delegate to it, and then we can exchange those rewards for Meld tokens where you can get them airdropped. I thought that was fantastic. And then his response was, yeah. Initial stake pool offering. People have been talking about it for a while. So I wasn't quite so smart. But no one had ever done it before.
Yep. You were the first to implement it.
Right. And so we sat down then and we started really working on it. We started focusing on the legal aspect of it. We started focusing on the technical aspect of it. We spun up a stake pool. We started working on that. And then we launched it on July 1st, and we've just seen fantastic uptake. So
yeah. Are you
really
going to run
amazing.
out of room? I know some of your stake pools have filled and you've added additional ones, but at what point can you not do more? Because you only have so much that you can allocate of your tokens towards that.
So what we've said is that we've allocated 800 million tokens to it. The private sale has 1.2 billion tokens.
Okay.
And what we've said, if we get to the point where the 800 million are allocated as part of the ISPO, then we're going to actually take
from the private
sale and give to the community.
Love
and
it.
So we're giving the community an opportunity to vote on how these things should play out in the future. That's what we wanted to do.
Love that idea, and I love that you were the first to actually do that, and you got a legal opinion from your attorneys that should be fine.
Yes, we've had them thoroughly evaluate it based on Singapore, which is our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And we got a formal legal opinion, which outlines exactly how, why, what, under what legal circumstances, what the legal precedence is, etc. And so then we felt very confident that we can actually go out and do this.
Love it, because 25 to 35% of my subscribers are in the U.S. and they're constantly asking, how can I participate in the early days? I have to tell them you have to wait for the launch, wait for it to go crazy, then wait for it to come back down.
Get it on a DEX.
Yeah, get it on a DEX. So now they can actually just delegate to you. So I love that. They're not even at risk other than their delegated rewards. So their risk is low because, yes, they would be losing the rewards they would have been getting if something happened to Meld. I can't see any big red flags. In fact, I see less red flags than I see in just about any other project as far as like something happening to Meld and it failing. So feel like there's always risk in crypto, but the risk, from my perspective, in my opinion, is low, like really low.
We're trying very, very hard to provide as much information as we possibly can, to be as open as we can. There is, of course, a lot of people that are very skeptical, and there are a lot of people that are, coming after us. We can't do anything about that. The biggest thing that I think that when it comes to risk and, is this real? Is this fake? Is this a rug pull? Are we the real deal or not? Is to look at our advisors. So we have the co-founder of Silicon Valley Blockchain Society as the first advisor. We have a editor from one of the leading crypto news agencies out there as an advisor. We have 2 more advisors that we're going to announce today and tomorrow. We have former CTO of Hitachi as an advisor. These are people that are not going to lend their name to something that is, fly by night, or, they're just not going to do it. And so that's really where you should focus your attention. Because if that doesn't convince you, then not much is going to be able to convince you that it's the real deal.
The problem is there's a lot of noise in this space, and a lot of people are new to investing, so they don't know how to weight the credibility of the people talking. And when they hear rug pull, even though it might be from some person that has no credibility or knowing what they're talking about, scares them. And I get that. That's just human emotions. But hopefully a lot of the people that are new to this space will commit to the space for a while and continue to learn and grow, and not just be here hoping to get it rich in the next 2 weeks. If that happened, fantastic. But your chance of doing really well go way up over 5 years, because when you're new to investing, you're always bad before you're good. Because you'll always have, I remember when Cardano was called a rug pull and a scam and vaporware, and nothing was ever going to happen. And I was buying like crazy. It was 3 to 4 cents. And I was as happy as can be that some people were dumb enough to be saying those kind of things, or didn't understand the bigger picture, that Charles just chose a better model, but up front it makes it seem like everything's slower, and so it's harder up front. In the long term, it's like building a really strong foundation and digging it really deep so that you can grow something huge on it. Well, that takes a long time. So people say, it's never going to happen. And so Cardano itself was called vaporware, or never going to happen. And so the fact that you're being called that, the truth is there's a lot of people who don't want Cardano to succeed because they have their bags in other places. And so they see Cardano and the ecosystem as a legitimate threat. To me, I'm just an investor. I'm okay with going after the technology that I think has the best chance to do well. Even if I thought it was something else, I'm always open to changing my mind or looking at new things and be like, love what they're doing, and that's what I'm going to look at.
How many projects can you participate in where you buy nothing, you transfer nothing, you give away potential returns, and in exchange you get to participate in a new crypto project from day one? I mean, we can't do much more. That's about the extent that we can give. And, again, this is because of Cardano. We can do this because of Cardano. I mean, you had this issue, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, where you had a stake pool operator on Ethereum on the layer 2, or on Ethereum 2.0, where they lost keys, right? And so the fact that they've had the foresight to build it in the way that they've built it, in a way that isolates risk, is major kudos to them. I mean, they've built something that other people can then add to and develop in different ways that were not necessarily part of the original design. When you do a design that can expand beyond its initial intentions, then you've done a very good design. And so I think that it's a gift that's going to keep on giving.
Yeah, I love what you're doing with Meld, and especially after talking to you, I like Meld a lot. I'm highly interested myself, and I'm cautious about what I buy. I've been in crypto for a while, so I have a really diversified portfolio, but one of the things I'm most bullish on is the Cardano ecosystem, and I've been looking for really big winners, or my best guess at winners. for myself. And what I share with my subscribers, because I can't give financial advice, I'm not an advisor. I can share with them though what I'm interested in and what I'm doing. So yeah, Meld is, especially after talking to you, really hot on my own personal list. I do have like the timeline here from your website. Could you walk us through the timeline? We're right now in Q2.
Yeah. So we're looking at over the summer, we're going to be releasing the first version of our mobile app, the Meld app. And so that'll be the first kind of touch point into the protocol. Something we didn't sort of touch on in the beginning was there are other products in the market that allow you to lock up your crypto and borrow fiat. You have Blockfi, Nexo, Celsius. The way we are different is that we are a distributed, a decentralized protocol. We're trustless, and we're non-custodial. So in these other products, while they are good, you have to hand over your keys. They're centralized. You put them into a black box. Anything you do, you have to go through KYC. In our case, it's non-custodial. You do not and you will not ever give us your keys, because your crypto is locked into a smart contract, which is the way we believe that it should be done. And it's done on the Cardano network, so it's distributed or decentralized, and it's trustless. And so this, we think, is a very big deal, because you never know what legislation is going to look like in the future. When you're working out in the DeFi space, you want that sense of freedom. We want our protocol to be composable. We want it to be able to work with other products in the space so that people can put these things together. And if you are locked up as a black box, then those opportunities are very, very limited.
That makes sense. And so you're doing your launch and everything now. I guess I didn't share, we talked a little bit beforehand. We didn't yet share with the audience some more about your loans. We talked about the Genius loan. Could you tell us some more about some of the other products that you plan?
Sorry, I didn't answer your question. So we'll be launching, the plan is to launch in November. We will launch at approximately the same time as Cardano supports smart contracts on the mainnet. And then from there, we will launch with wrapped assets, and we'll launch with crypto-to-crypto loans. And then in Q1 or Q2 next year, we'll launch with fiat lending or crypto-to-fiat lending. So as we get closer to the timeline, we'll be releasing a lot more material around the math behind the Genius loan, the structure and the interest rate model for the risk oracle. All of these things will become much, much clearer as we get farther down the simulation process, and we're sort of confident in regards to how these different pieces are going to work. Then we will open up and we'll publish Medium articles that go through the details, go through the math, and explain all of it in detail.
Yeah, that's exciting. Now, when you talk crypto to fiat loans, I read in your white paper that at that point, they'll be able to then do a bank transfer, like a wire transfer to their bank when they pull out fiat.
Correct.
From your system, they'll be able to wire transfer that to their bank, which
right. So the idea
would be
is
amazing.
That you tie up your crypto, you collateralize your crypto using the Meld app. And then depending on your jurisdiction, wherever you are in the world, you do the KYC for wherever you are in the world. And the reason why we do the KYC is because the protocol will wire the money to your bank account once the smart contract is executed. But if it wires it to your bank account, the bank will not release that capital to you. They will send you a message saying, a bunch of money has come into your account. Do you have documentation to prove that this is your money? Right? This is the sort of fundamentals of anti-money laundering. And so the KYC is there to generate all of the documentation necessary for you to provide to your bank so that you can then take that money out.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that you've thought ahead for all these things. Highly interesting that they can then skip the whole process of having to get stuff, then send it to one of their other fiat exit ramps, and that essentially they can go directly.
Yeah, it'll send it to their personal bank account or whatever bank account they've registered for it.
Yep.
And you'll get messages because we're capturing that information onto the blockchain from the bank side. So when the wire transfer is executed, it gets written to the blockchain. When the verification that receiving of the money into your account is verified, that gets written into the blockchain. So all of these different events get written into the blockchain so you can actually see. So there's as close to complete transparency as we can do in the banking side.
Yeah. Fascinating, all the things that you're setting up. One of the reasons why crypto loans are so intriguing is when you borrow against your crypto, you're not creating a taxable event in most jurisdictions. In fact,
Correct.
all of them that I'm familiar with, but maybe there are some. And so say you have $1 million worth of Cardano and you borrow 500,000 against that, wire transfer that to your bank, that itself is not a taxable event. And so some people that have garnished huge assets, they don't ever want to sell their crypto. They just want to ride out a bear market if it comes. They want to borrow some against it. That way they can keep it all there, and that way they can not be cash poor and crypto rich.
Right.
And so what you're setting up is one of the best structures I've seen in order to allow for that.
And that's the goal. And, again, it's not financial advice. And we're not suggesting that you shouldn't pay capital gains, but debt financing is a fundamental principle of modern economics. And there's no reason that you and I shouldn't be able to do it in the same way that any large corporation does it. And so keep your assets, watch them appreciate, and then borrow against that. In particular, borrow against it in an inflationary market and borrow against that in a bear market, because that's what you do when you see inflation. That's what you do when you're in a bear market. And so, we're following the principles of DeFi, which is to reproduce all of the core mechanics of the financial world in the crypto space. And we just see ourselves as one of those players in the space. And we want to participate in the community, and we want to work as closely and as well as we can with all the different products that are or protocols that are out there. We want to work with, Aave and Comp and, MakerDAO. And we also, of course, we want to work with the ones on Cardano as well. We want to work with Liquid and Cardex and etc. And so the idea here is to really build the community as best we can, and then in the same way that Cardano has done such a good design that it's kind of gone beyond the vision of their makers, we want to try and do that as well. We want to make it so that somebody figures out a different way of using the Meld protocol with some other, protocol or some other crypto project to produce something completely new. That would be fantastic. That would be our ultimate goal.
So question I have that we haven't gone over yet, could you tell us about your total token supply and some of the tokenomics behind it?
We have 4 billion tokens.
Okay.
So that they will all be minted at the Genesis event, hopefully in November. They will then be distributed to the team, the private investors, and the ISPO contributors. The team and the private investors have a 4% vesting per month. So it's a 25-month vesting period. The ISPO holders have no limits. So the ISPO holders can do whatever they want with the crypto that they have accrued over that period of time. The ISPO itself ends on December 8th, but on the minting event, on the Genesis event of the tokens, the amount that they have accrued to that point will be airdropped to them. And then every epoch, which is how you sort of calculate the times in Cardano, at the end of each epoch, you'll then be airdropped the additional tokens that you have accrued from that period, or you've sort of the rewards you've been accrued from that period.
So question about that, do you know the price that those tokens will be converted at, or how does it work with their Cardano? Instead of going to them as returns, will go to Meld, and that will be exchanged for tokens. Do you know the price of the Meld tokens that conversion happens at, or how that works?
I'm not allowed to talk about price.
Okay.
But what I can say that if you start with if you're part of the ISBO from day one, from July 1st, and you do it for the entire period, which is 32 epochs, then for every one ADA that you stake, you get 2 Meld approximately. It's 2.07 or 2.08 Meld. In addition to that, we have just announced HODL bonuses.
Okay.
So if you have been a part of the ISPO from day one, and then you go through the entire period to the very end, then you get a 25% bonus for being a part of the ISPO from day one. And then we have different tiers as the number of epochs that you participate in go down. So we wanted to reward the people that were willing to delegate very early on, because of course there's more risk. They didn't know anything about us. There was a lot of, or there still is, and was a lot of FUD about it. And the fact that they were standing by us meant a lot. And so we wanted to make sure that we rewarded them for that.
So the Cardano community is really strong in general if they believe in your product. And I think part of the reason is Charles Hoskinson's transparency has grown a lot of trust over the time, and trust is lacking in a lot of the crypto space. So it's like Charles Hoskinson coming on frequently and doing the AMAs has built all that trust, so people know that they can trust him, and so they trust his ecosystem. So that does, though, put, with that conversion, was it 3 mil for every one Cardano? Two.
Yeah.
So that does create a really high overall market cap for the project from the get-go. And what are your thoughts on that?
So there's 2 parts right now. There's 2 parts to Meld. One, Meld can be used for paying fees on the protocol. You can also use it in the liquidity pools. So that is one component. And the second component, which is probably more relevant to your question about tokenomics, is we have the ability to stake Meld on the protocol. So you can actually take your Meld and put it into our Meld stake pool. And then for putting it into that stake pool, what you're doing is you're providing insurance for the protocol itself. Okay. And in return for putting that insurance up and taking that risk, you get 40% of all the fees that are accumulated across the entire protocol. And so it's a way for you to have a consistent income based on the tokens that you have collected. So if you put them in there, then you will continuously earn more and more Meld tokens as a byproduct of that.
That's fantastic. So there's a secondary staking use of that can stake it and earn additional interest.
Correct.
Do you know at this point what the likely interest rate would be, or what kind of return rate?
No, we're still doing the simulations on it, and it's going to vary, right? As the protocol becomes more used, as there's more cash flow through the system, then the fees will increase. As there's more usage of the liquidity pools, then the fees will increase. So we didn't want to make it something fixed, because that one, in the beginning, it's going to hurt the protocol, and in the end, it's actually it's not going to provide the kind of returns that we want to be able to provide people that are staking, because they're the ones that are sort of putting it in there and taking the risk.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Really appreciate you sharing. I guess your time with us. My subscribers always like to find out, like, they want to get a feel for a team always. Mm-hmm. And what I felt from you is just strong team with some great innovations on Cardano, which is one of the ecosystems we're most bullish on. So I do thank you for joining us. Anything else you want to share?
No, do your own research. Come take a look at it. Join the Meld Global Telegram group. Ask questions. Make your own choices, but make sure that you look at all of the details. Make sure you look at the advisors, look at the team. I'm super proud of our team. We've done a fantastic job so far, and we're super bullish and very, very excited about the next coming months and the launch in November.
So they can get more information going to meld.com, and then you'll probably have your Telegram link right there, right?
Correct, yes.
Fantastic. So join their Telegram. I found Telegram is often the best place to get the quickest answers, and the best research on from the team and their admins who handle it directly. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you.
Tim.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later and see all of the audience soon.
Great. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Is falling, flowing like rain. The timing's right, we're getting paid. Come on, Remakers, let's make this happen.